Ray and I are having some scheduling issues at the moment, which I mean we're currently on vacation together partying and couldn't be bothered to bring all the stuff needed to record No Doubt versus Sublime. It's still coming. In the meantime, I thought you might enjoy a discussion of Spotify's shortcomings and how I think they could do better. So let's jump right in.
Number 1.
We can't rate songs. I was a giant iTunes freak for the longest time. And the one thing I think Apple's still best Spotify in is the ability to rate what you listen to. Just imagine being able to sift through what you've listened to and loved with the click of a button. And while 1 to 5 stars is standard, I'd recommend a 0 to 10 scale after doing lots and lots of rating. Only when you hear the best of the best. Want to show people what you absolutely despise? That should be a thing. The biggest no-brainer that would undeniably draw new users in.
Number 2.
We don't see track numbers on the phone app. One thing I find super annoying about Spotify is that I can always see track numbers in the desktop app, but they're totally absent from the mobile app. Whether it's wanting to know which track of an album I'm currently on, or how many hundreds of songs deep I am in a given playlist, the mobile app can and should do better than shitting the bed on visible numbers.
Number 3.
We can't disable Smart Shuffle. Let's be honest. Smart Shuffle, which automatically adds track recommendations to a playlist, is not for everyone. Speaking as someone who tediously curates playlists, I'd rather let R. Kelly pee on me than to have Spotify auto-add a bunch of unwanted crap every single time I hit shuffle. It takes hitting shuffle twice to make those additions go away, and I just want it to die altogether. I get why some users want to take on random recommendations though, which is why you should at least give people the option to turn Smart Shuffle off completely. Again, because it's not for everyone. Every time I encounter it while using Spotify, I feel a little less in love with the service. And that's no bueno if you hope to continue dominating the music streaming landscape.
Number 4.
There are 8 billion versions of the same song. Imagine, if you will, that you're looking for the alternate version of a song you love. So you search the song title and are hit with 20 tracks to choose from. Your mind assumes it must be one of those. So you start listening to them, only to find that they're almost all the exact same song, just from different compilations or whatever. And I contend, perhaps contentiously, that this is a bad approach to user experiences. No one wants to live this kind of life. Link them on the back end of your database somehow and simplify our lives, because this problem only gets worse when we start trying to keep duplicates out of our playlists.
Number 5.
You totally add duplicates to our playlists. Speaking of duplicates, what in the actual fuck, Spotify? It will surprise precisely 0 people who make big playlists in Spotify to hear that I sometimes use a service called Exportify, which makes spreadsheets of my playlists. And I still find it immensely time-consuming to find and delete duplicates from my playlists. The problem begins when you're making the playlist. I tend to pull from lots of other playlists to get a baseline. Sometimes I even start a list full of songs I don't want to reuse, with the intention of deleting those once the new songs are added. Thing is, Spotify's only add new songs option has a tendency to shit the bed hundreds of times over, meaning it tries a bit of skipping duplicate ads before just going, fuck it, I'm tired, add all this garbage to the list, let Shane sort it out. Not only that, but it's also not counting the multiple versions of the same song as a duplicate ad. And when I can't even count on Excel to simplify my life once this damage is done, you've got to know you done fucked it up.
Number 6.
Our playlists aren't shown correctly. Something else that annoys me to no end about Spotify is how it doesn't seem to care about the way you want your playlist shown to others. As an example, I can sort my playlist by song title, artist, etc. I can even make a custom order and handpick what should play when, what should show as the first song, and so on. But if you go to look at that playlist I've made, the only way you see the playlist is by the date each track was added. To make it look right, I currently have to copy the entire playlist into an empty list, then move everything back. This way it thinks all songs were added at the same time and treats it like a custom order, even if I have everything sorted on artist name, for example. What would clearly be simpler is to just let other users see exactly how I have my playlist ordered at any given time. Such an easy resolve that I want to smack Spotify right in its damn logo.
Number 7.
It's some big errors out there, yo. I've been seeing a lot of album art changing to the wrong thing, artist names getting wonky in spots, and there have always been lots of old errors that go unfixed, such as certain Tabitha's Secret songs having track numbers in the actual song titles. It seems like these quality control issues are getting worse instead of better. I don't know what's behind that, but it would be nice if Spotify upped its professional presentation game. Just saying.
Number 8.
The social functions could use some work. Ages ago now, I logged into Spotify via Facebook, initially having no real interest in the service. Rhapsody was still the service I paid to use, and of course I had my library digitized in iTunes as well. Mostly, I was curious to see what the fuss was about, but what immediately hooked me was the way Spotify integrated into Facebook's social experience. Even now, you can still see what your friends are listening to. The funny thing is, most people I know don't realize that's a thing. And I always expected that Spotify would capitalize on having that social edge, but it's done nearly nothing but make it so that you can create playlists with other people. They hide the social options too well, don't make it easy to find people you know, and have yet to make social things like profiles intuitive. There's a lot of money waiting on the company that gets this right. Hear me now, quote me later.
Number 9.
You hide too much. Something I hate about the service is that it sometimes tries hiding missing tracks, not letting you see them in search or whatnot. I've also not found a way to create placeholder tracks for songs not on Spotify. My preferred solution here would be to have albums unavailable to listen to, such as Zwan's Mary Star of the Sea, show up in search so that people don't forget they exist. Essentially, Spotify wants you seeing as little of what it doesn't have as is possible, and I think that's a mistake. People want a service they can rely on to maintain their history with music. That doesn't happen if you try wiping said memory clean.
Number 10.
Search is a hot-ass mess sometimes. Have you ever searched for something on Spotify and either been unable to find what you were clearly looking for, or been hit with a bunch of out-of-place suggestions? To be fair, these suggestions are rarely as asinine as what happens in the music search sections of other social media apps at present, but it's still super annoying. Don't show me irrelevant crap to make it seem like there are lots of options when you can't find what I'm looking for. And don't make your listening options look beefy by muddying valid searches. A good example of this is something I experience routinely when searching for podcasts. Even when I try searching for the podcast you're currently listening to, it's a crapshoot as to whether or not it shows up in search at all. And it's like, how do you get that wrong? Serious question. This is one of the basics you've got to nail to be successful in the long term. Not to mention that you're screwing producers out of their own search hits.
Number 11.
User profiles are underutilized. Put plainly, I think our profiles on Spotify could stand to be a lot more robust, as well as be easier to work with. Sorting playlists there is a bloody chore. You can't blog music news or thoughts. You can't highlight your favorite users. There's just a lot more which could be done to make profiles next level. Currently, however, all we're getting is crickets.
Number 12.
The desktop app crawls. As should be obvious by now, there are notable differences between the desktop Spotify app and the mobile app, but by far the most frustrating difference comes in the form of speed. If I want to search and delete things from a playlist, then the mobile app is lightning quick. But if I try using the desktop app, which would often be preferable to someone like myself, then I'm quickly met with single items taking multiple minutes to delete from a playlist. Really? One song? Few minutes at a time? No cache clearing or app restarting, etc. fixes this shit either. Basically, your desktop speed is bad, and you should feel bad.
Number 13.
Karaoke is half-cocked. Some of Spotify's potential has always struck as obvious in the realm of karaoke. Gladly, their karaoke mode is slowly but surely being made available to all users. I don't have it yet, but you know, what the fuck else is new? This mode lets you mute the audio in any track so that you can sing over it, while it shows you lyrics like any karaoke machine might. This is a game changer, better than what I even envisioned. That being said, once it's fully launched, I hope they find a way to let users record their performances and also be able to turn off the vocal analyzing/scoring aspect. Not everyone's coming here to be judged, after all.
Number 14.
The back end is dookie for creators. This complaint deals with producers more than users, but users could easily be affected if Spotify doesn't clean up its act. On the back end, artists can have Spotify for Artists pages, and podcasters had Anchor, then Spotify for podcasters, and most recently, simply logging in with Spotify. It all sounds good in theory, but I've had trouble every time they make a change. Most recently, getting locked out of my podcasting account altogether because their system wouldn't send me a verification code. They made me give an alternate email address, blow a CEO in the vocal booth, and various other things in order to regain normality. I'm still not okay. And that's because I suspect the shenanigans will continue in perpetuity if someone higher up doesn't step up to the plate and say, maybe we just don't constantly change things if they'll negatively impact our creators.
Number 15.
I press delete. Why you know delete? Speaking of things getting worse, they're steadily making everything larger in Spotify, by which I mean appear larger on the screen. This has made it so that you see fewer songs in a list at any given time, and I was mostly used to that. What I refuse to accept, however, is the way basic functions have just stopped working correctly due to what I'm guessing are shortcomings in the flash loading of playlists. Say I want to delete 1,000 items at once from a playlist of 5,000 songs. What happens now is that when the app doesn't just screw up or forget what I have selected to delete, it only deletes some of the selected tracks. It makes for an unreliable user experience, and that's another thing which leaves me thinking that it's only a matter of time until a different service manages doing better by their customers.
Number 16.
Playlists are capped. Lastly, this one's for the dreamers. Let me add however many songs I want to a playlist. Don't cap me at 10,000 tracks or whatever it is. I'm just going to make a part 2 and keep adding stuff there. Plus, this makes keeping up with what's where a total chore. Not to mention it increases the number of playlists I have on my account. So grow a pair and let me fill a playlist to preposterous numbers if it pleases me. Anyway, I'll probably think of something else the moment I stop recording this, but this is a good baseline for improving the Spotify experience, if you ask me. No one did, but you got it anyway. So make lemonade of my lemons, good people, and tune back in next month where Ray and I shall once again fill your world with music.